You know, when you work in a wonderful workplace, it's almost like heaven. We wake up in the morning, get out of bed, and you're ready to go. You have a lot of vigor in you. But if you work in a toxic workplace, man, it can feel more like a prison. And many of us have to go to work and stay there for 7-8 hours a day. When we get a half-hour lunch break, you know? What's that line from Chris Rock where he says, man, do you know that people in prison get an hour for a lunch break or something like that?
Do you realize even criminals in jail get an hour lunch break? Like, can I at least eat like a murderer?
And so many people are stuck in jobs that they hate, you know, but what can they do? I mean, nowadays, so many places are closing down, laying off thousands of people. And let's face it, many of us are replaceable nowadays by AI, you know? And even if you freelance like I do, it's kind of a tricky time as well, because you depend on other people having their jobs in order for you to survive. And really, we're just on the cusp of what AI is going to be doing to so many workplaces. I mean, many people are already being let go in favor of AI. What was it? Some of those employees at Microsoft that actually designed AI, they were let go. They were let go in favor of the programs that they designed. And we got an obstacle here. How do we get around this, huh?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I made it to the other side of that obstacle. Easy as ABC. I mean, yeah, I got some, I think AI has some potential, although I'm not overly impressed by it. I also wonder, if all these companies plan on letting go of so many people are going to be without jobs, and everybody says, well, it's easy to just adapt, you know, just like during the Industrial Revolution, everybody had to adapt. It's like, you know, typewriter repair people had to adapt to the computers and stuff like that. But I don't know, this feels different. But at the same time, how are these companies going to survive? I mean, if they expect so many people to be out of work, where's their customer base going to go? If people aren't working, how are they going to get money to spend and buy the products from the companies that are replacing their employees with AI? It's crazy. But I suppose that's a conversation for another day, you know? I mean, really, the whole purpose of me wanting to start this conversation had to do with mental health and physical health when you work a lot, you know? So if you work an 8-hour shift, how do you stay healthy? So yeah, today we're going to be talking about flies getting into my ear. And we're also going to talk about having that perfect work-life balance and how you can stay mentally fit, emotionally fit, and physically fit when you work at a job that is tearing you apart. How do you do that? How do you manage your stress? How do you stay fit? That's what today's Talkin' Fit episode is about. So, everybody, come along with me, Charlie and Frankie, to Chuckadelphia. Let's go. Hey there, Chuckadelphia. Today on Talkin' Fit, we're tackling a big one, finding joy in work and the challenges that test us. I lived it. Trust me, the best job I ever had turned into the worst, nearly breaking me before I had to get up and leave and return to the United States to fix myself and find a way to lose 277 pounds up to now. I still have more weight to lose, but I'm on the right path. And I don't think I could have gotten this far if I had stayed at my last workplace. You know, that healing sparked my journey. You know? And today we're going to explore why a job you love matters, my ups and downs, and how to rise even when the world feels heavy. So let's dive in. The importance of a job you enjoy. Yeah, so I know this has been on a lot of people's minds recently. Maybe it's always been on their minds. Maybe it's been on your mind, you know? I mean, most of our lives are spent working, right? How many of you spend more time with your coworkers than you spend with your family? Bet you it's a lot of you, right? Even if you work from home, are you working so many hours that it's hard for you to do anything with your family? Is it hard for you to break free? I thought that maybe the pandemic taught us a little bit about that, you know, when companies kind of said, hey, you don't have to come into work. I think a lot of people felt like that was their cue to say that, hey, maybe we're not as essential as we had thought we had been. And if we can just work from home, why can't we work from home all the time? I know that a lot of people wanted to do that, and maybe they're able to do that now. But then, like, we also recently we've seen a lot of people that have been losing their jobs because of companies closing down, government layoffs, things like that. And how many people end up studying forever, get their 4-year degree, their master's degree, their PhD, only to come out to hear that they're too expensive for companies to pay. Or maybe they end up taking a job that's less than what they study for, you know. Many people end up taking jobs at which they're overqualified, and they end up making the same amount of money as the people that didn't go to a 4-year university. I understand that. It's a really hard situation, you know. For me, a loved job meant motivation, less stress, and better health. No heart issues or stress or high blood pressure. And for many people, it's not just about pay. It's about waking up eager. You know, a lot of people say like they can deal with making less money, although I don't know if that's the same for everybody. I'm pretty sure that's not for everybody. But a lot of people just want a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. They want to feel like wherever they're working is doing good in this world, you know? Is that something that you have, those of you that are watching? Yeah. I mean, I certainly had that. And that's what I was saying, for the best job I ever had. You know, like, I'd always had jobs where I loved the people I worked with, but I didn't necessarily like what I was doing. It just felt like it was just anything that anybody could do. But the best job I ever had, I loved the people I worked with, and I loved the mission. I loved the purpose behind it. And it was the perfect job for me. It wasn't the highest paying job, but I had a really good sense of purpose and happiness there. And then that job switched around a little bit, and it became a little more toxic. And when you're in that situation, it goes from a place that can feel so motivating, almost heaven-like, to feeling like a prison, you know? What if you're in one of these situations where you're at an unhappy job, like I was? Like, it's just ripping your heart apart. What do? You know, reality hits hard. The economy's tough, high costs, layoffs everywhere. People have car notes, mortgages. Even if you try to sell your house, you might not be able to. Many people are suffering with student loan debt, even solar panel debt. It's crazy out there. What do you do? Leaving an unhappy job feels impossible when bills loom and jobs are scarce, and you got kids to feed too. what does one do? You know, I've been there, torn between survival and joy. Philosophically, life's too precious for misery, and work shouldn't steal your spirit. It absolutely shouldn't. It already takes, I mean, if you have a full-time job, it already takes 40 hours a week. And if you're one of those unfortunate souls that has to work 2 or 3 jobs, you know, you're already sacrificing so much just to get by, you know? I mean, people say we're living a paycheck to paycheck society. But what if you're working 2 or 3 jobs and you get sick? And what if you get sick because you're not taking care of your health? What if you're not taking care of your health because you're working 40-hour, 50-hour per week job? What do you do? How do you handle that? Well, if you can't quit, start small. Ask for new tasks, you know, build skills online. Move for 10 minutes daily. After work, a short workout. Go to a gym, you know. It can refresh you a little bit. It can recharge your engines. You know, that dopamine rush might be exactly what you're missing in life, you know. And who knows, maybe while you're walking or working out, maybe some ideas will come to your mind. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe you'll know what your next step is, you know. And sometimes you might have to ask for new responsibilities at work. See if there's a possibility for a promotion, for a raise, you know. And I understand what it's like if you try to ask for more money and you can't get it. I was in a position once where I had many people. I was like the middleman, you know. People, many of my colleagues, the people that I was leading, were asking for more money, and I couldn't oblige them. That wasn't in my hands. I had to find ways to keep motivating them. Motivation can go so far. If you're trying to motivate people who are trying to find ways to survive, to pay the bills, you know. But you know what? If you have flexibility at your job, you know, like I said, learn those new tasks. I told one of my open-minded guys that, hey, you know what? I can't give you everything that you need, but take advantage of this position here to find something better in the future. I know it's kind of pathetic if you think about it, but it really isn't. If you're the kind of person that just wants to do the bare minimum at a job, it doesn't make sense to you. But if you find those ways, those extra tasks at work, that can motivate you. And if you maximize those talents, those skills at that position, at that job, where they can't pay you more, maybe you can parlay that into a job that can, you know. I encouraged this guy to do more. He was even open to doing some things at some of our team meetings for like some training sessions and stuff like that. I mean, that's something that goes great on a resume, right? So, you know, whenever they ask you those situational questions, if you have a response to that based on an anecdotal experience that you had at a job, go for it, you know? So yeah, maybe your current employer can't give you everything you want financially, but maybe it can help you develop those skills that other workplaces are looking for. And, you know, when push comes to shove, you can tell your current employer, you know, hey, you know, if you can't pay me more, I got this company that's willing to pay me more. Thank you for all the experience, but it's time for me to move on. That's what you got to do, you know. That's how you handle things when you're at an unhappy workplace, a toxic workplace, you know. And if it's that bad, you know, try to find other ways to make some extra money. Maybe side hustle, maybe do some delivering here and there, maybe like seasonal work, you know, look for additional stuff, maybe like landscaping, cutting the lawn, maybe do some airport shuttle runs or something like that. If you're in such a toxic work environment that it's tearing your spirit apart, like I was at the end of my last place, you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. It's not worth it. No place is worth it, you know? A lot of these places don't care one way or another about you. You're just a number to them, you know? And many places do care. I mean, I'm not saying every place is like that. If you're in one of those places, God bless you. But if you're at one of those places and you know they're not treating you right, you gotta get out of there. You know? Try to be an entrepreneur. You know? I know it's not easy out there. I mean, I'm freelancing myself. It's not easy. I mean, what I'm doing depends on so many factors. I have a little more freedom, but I'm, held back a little bit also because, like, my success depends on the happiness that my students have at their jobs. You know, if they lose their jobs, I lose the possibility of having money as well. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy anyway. But you know what? At the end of the day, I used to always tell myself I would rather struggle at something I love than succeed at something I loathe. You know? And when something I succeeded at was something I loved, it was perfect. But when it became something I loathed, I started to loathe myself. And I realized I had to get out of there. You know? Well, what about you? What do you do? Are you scared about this job market that we're in? Are you scared about the economy? Are you at a dead-end job? Do you feel there's no escape from it? Are you worried about your next paycheck? Are you worried about paying your children's tuition? Are you struggling because of a mortgage, a student loan, a car note? I mean, man, they got us shackled every which way they can. But how do we survive? How do we maintain our mental, emotional, and physical health at the same time? That's a tough question right now. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you do in the comments section. All right? And thank you very much for watching this edition of Talkin' Fit in Chuckadelphia. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, hit that like button, share this video, make sure you subscribe, and keep coming back for more. Have a wonderful day. You know, hang in there. I know it's not easy right now, but you know what? What can you do? You gotta stay positive. You gotta keep your eyes open and don't give up hope. Absolutely. Do not give up hope. That's all for now. Chuckadelphia. Carpe diem, my friends. See you on the flip side. Full steam ahead. Ciao, ciao.